Do you ever feel like the government chosen to represent your interests doesn't actually, represent your interests? And I'm not just talking about the Cheeto in chief. Obviously, Trump is only there to represent the interests of Putin and other virulent bigots. And I'm assuming that you, the person watching this YouTube video right now, are neither of those. I mean, to be clear, I'm talking about you, the viewer I care about, not the average YouTube bigot who hate watches me. Thanks for those views, though, guys. Anyway, a recent study suggests that you're right, at least if you're liberal. Politicians from both major political parties tend to drastically overestimate how conservative their constituents are on most important hot-button issues, like immigration, gay rights, abortion, and gun control. Gun control, in particular, was the issue where politicians were the absolute worst at understanding their constituents. 84% of people want mandatory background checks on guns, but the politicians thought that that number was less than 50%, less than half, compared to, in actuality, 84%. 50% of the general public wants to ban assault rifles, but politicians think that number is more like 39%. It's not quite as bad for other issues, but it's important to note that on nearly every issue polled, the public majority was on one side of the issue when politicians think that they're on the other side. So, for instance, being off by 7% might not seem like much, but it is a critical amount when you're talking about 56% of people who want same-sex marriage to be legal, and politicians think that only 49% of people do. Or when 55% of people want abortion to always be legal, but politicians think that only 46% do. And when only 38% of the public want the police to question suspected, undocumented immigrants, but the politicians think that 50% want it. Because in general, our government operates by a majority vote, and this research shows that the government is wrong about what the majority of people want on nearly every important issue that's currently happening. The researchers posit that this happens because conservatives are more likely to contact their representatives, which skews the representatives' viewpoints of what their constituents want. And they think that this is because they're motivated to do so based on a continuous stream of conservative radio hosts and conservative big donors who are constantly telling them that they have to call their representatives, or the liberals are going to take away their guns or make them gay marry an immigrant, which is a great idea, by the way. When I'm president, all unmarried conservatives will be forced into a green card marriage with a gay immigrant. That should fix everything. I find the study interesting because prior to this, I knew, or suspected at least, that politicians from both sides tend to vote more conservatively than their base, but I assumed that this was primarily due to where they're getting their money. Many of these payoffs that people are getting, that politicians are getting from lobbyists, they're fully legal and public knowledge, like how much various politicians are getting from the NRA, the gun lobby, the oil and gas lobby. If those lobbyists are buying a politician, of course that politician will vote in line with their interests, because politicians by and large are disgusting sacks of shit who you can't trust because they're always for sale. But that doesn't fully explain why they would then think that their constituents also support those lobbyist positions. Marco Rubio got a cool $1 million from the NRA for his election, but that doesn't mean that he would then think Floridians don't want to ban assault weapons. The researchers point out that past studies have suggested that politicians will change their vote when they get more accurate information about what their constituents want. So there is a chance that this is related to conservatives just being more likely to talk to their representatives. On the other hand, I can spitball a few other ideas. Maybe politicians don't want to feel like disgusting sacks of shit who literally cause the deaths of children by taking money from the gun lobby and then doing their bidding and refusing to regulate guns. But boy, do they love that money. So maybe they tell themselves, hey, this is what the people want. The people want more assault rifles on our streets and in our schools. I'm just doing what they ask. I mean, that's one of the things the human brain is really good at. tricking itself so that bad people doing bad things can tell themselves that they're really good people in a bad situation so that they can sleep well at night on that very expensive mattress in that mansion that the NRA built for them. It's hard to say exactly what the truth is here, but a lot of the data does suggest that we're all better off when we talk to our representatives often about what our viewpoints are, whether our representatives are conservative or liberal. Because, hey, they might not be listening, but if they're not, you're probably going to be more motivated to actually vote them out of office when the time comes.